I hear Africa receives more aid than any other continent. And anytime you hear that, you'll be like, oh, it's free money. Even though we know majority of these countries that are giving aid, they are involved in this African country's government. Let's just assume that doesn't exist for a second and say they're giving the aid out of the goodness of their heart. That's what the whole world sees. But the truth is they don't do that. If they are giving you aid, they're taking something in return. For instance, the situation in Liberia with Samuel Doe. He was a military young man that was sponsored to host a coup in Liberia to take over the government. Yes, the same group of people that are telling Ibrahim Traore to step down because he took over through a coup have been sponsoring coups in Africa, and they sponsored Samuel Doe. When he became the leader in Liberia, he was given aid. There are rules that comes with that aid. For instance, the amount of loan that was given to Samuel Doe initially was $500 million. In exchange, they took over 100 plots of land, a certain area. They leased it for 99 years. And part of the contract of them leasing that land is that any natural resources, stones, gems, whatever, oil, anything they find on that 100 plot of land belongs to the United States government. They made him align with the Cold War policies. They made him use the Liberian ports to deploy US military globally. They made him shut down the Liberian peace mission in Monrovia, cut ties with the Soviet Union, downsize the Soviet Union embassy in Liberia, reinstore ties with Israel because as at that time, this is years ago, the Palestinian genocide already started. So countries were already disassociating from Israel. So they made Samuel Doe restore Liberia's ties with Israel. There are so many more, but he was now answerable to the US government. He does whatever they tell him to do. When the Liberian people started protesting that they don't want him, because there were a lot of, part of the things that he was doing was human rights abuse, the US government asked him to silence the press, and he did. So when all that started happening with the human rights abuse, the Liberians started protesting, and the US government asked him to conduct an election, which they rigged. And Samuel Doe himself said if he didn't win the election, that he would have done another coup and taken over again because he knows he has the backing of the United States government. And when the United States government were called out, because he eventually won the election, when the United States government was called out for interfering with the election and installing Samuel Doe as their democratically elected president, the United States government said electoral malpractice is common in Africa, so it's not like they did anything wrong. So, to conclude, aid is not free. When you hear that they give any country aid, just know that that country has been sold out. And I'll say this again. Currently, if you are in any African country and your leader is not facing assassination attempt, he's not the one ruling the country. Bye.